Negotiations for Kyiv and Moscow are holding talks in Belarus regarding the Russian invasion, but expectations are not said to be high, and the fighting continues. So what role is the U.S. playing in this battle, and what does this mean for the future? We are joined by Congressman Adam Kinzinger, a veteran of Afghan and Iraqi combat operations. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining me.
You bet.
I know you've been keeping a close eye on this, as everyone else has. Over the weekend, Russia's currency crashed, the stock market closed, the economy is now staggering under these sanctions. Is this going to be enough to result in any sort of de-escalation by Putin?
Look, I don't think it will result in de-escalation by Putin. There will be two things that can. Number one is the oligarchs are getting hit so hard in this. The Russian people are being hit so hard in this. They're embarrassed by what's happening, and they decide they want something different, or Vladimir Putin realizes, which is what's kind of becoming obvious, this would be a way tough fighter than he thought. I mean, it is amazing to me that the Ukrainians still are contesting the airspace over Ukraine. It is amazing that Russia still does not occupy the territory. Mm-hmm. And in fact, they have resorted, as we saw today, to using cluster munitions on populated areas. So the world has turned against Russia. Anybody that had sympathy for Russia looks really bad right now, and this is a good thing. We do not stand for authoritarianism.
Okay, so let's talk about Ukraine's forces. You said the world is turning against, the sanctions are there, but let's talk about who's fighting, because it sounds as if Putin did not expect to have this resistance. It has slowed them down, though they're still saying it could be a matter of days before we see, or hours even, before we see effectiveness in Kyiv. So there's NATO troops, Belarus troops are being deployed, Germany announcing it's going to be arming Ukraine. Can they hold off this massive Russian invasion? What's it going to take?
So, and even Sweden is sending weapons. Sweden, who's been notoriously neutral, is sending weapons to Ukraine. I think here's the thing. What Vladimir Putin didn't predict is how hard it is to actually do logistics. If you have a tank coming, for instance, from Belarus to Kyiv, you have to refuel that tank en route. We're seeing a lot of tanks left. He also, forgot the fact that the Ukrainian military is battle hardened. They are fighting in the east and versus Russia that uses conscripts. So what's it going to take? It's going to take Ukraine continuing to hold out, continuing to use Javelin, Stinger missiles to destroy the Russian army. But look, Russia has always used the old thing of, send as many people as we can to a problem. We'll see what happens. But I think for the first time since this started, it actually appears Ukraine may be able to defend its country.
Okay, let's talk about really the elephant in the room. Putin has threatened to anyone who would consider interfering from the outside. He has said, this is a quote from last week, "If you do, you will face consequences greater than any you have faced in history." Those words obviously sounding like a direct threat of nuclear war. At what point does that come into play a role, and when and if would a point like that were to happen, would America decide it's going to have to step in? That's pretty frightening.
It is. Let's think about it. The fact that a leader of a country like Russia would say that is in and of itself, to me, evidence that something has to be done about Vladimir Putin. I think it's really important to look back at what happened during the Cold War. Russia consistently and constantly threatened the use of nuclear weapons. We just called their bluff. We got used to it. We called their bluff, and we didn't back down out of fear. We just said, you're not going to do that because it would mean your destruction too. We haven't had to deal with a threat like that in 30 years. And I think it's important for us to look at that playbook and say, the West and the United States, look, if he's not going to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine, particularly as he's losing, the idea that Vladimir Putin would create a nuclear war against NATO and the West is it's just not going to happen. But he's trying to frighten people right now.
You say it's just not going to happen. A lot of people underestimated that this was even going to happen. Is that something that we should even think about the possibility of not happening? Is there anything we can do right now to prevent that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I believe in intermediate and long-range missile defense, which we really do not have right now, and that has been a contentious issue in Congress. Every time we try to create missile defense, it gets shut down. This goes to show it is a threat we need to be guarding against. Look, nothing is risk-free, and I don't mean that we need to go out into this world with guns ablazing, but we also have to recognize that when bullies, advance, when bullies do bully things, a lot of the times they only stop when they are punched back in the nose or they hit a brick wall. This is the case with Vladimir Putin. In the 2018, we killed 400 Russian soldiers in Syria. You didn't hear a word from Vladimir Putin because he was embarrassed about it. He is also extremely embarrassed, I believe, today about what's happening to him in Ukraine.
Okay, so as we sit back and watch, as someone who has been in the thick of war, as a veteran, as you watch this, do you ever see a point anytime soon where America gets involved, boots on the ground? We took a poll last week. Some people do feel we should not get involved. I'm curious how you feel as someone who's a veteran.
Well, see, I'm a believer in a no-fly zone over Ukraine. I do believe that every day that goes by, that becomes less possible because more and more Russian equipment gets moved into Ukraine. I'm going to tell you, if Russia uses thermobaric weapons, which basically are vacuum bombs that explode people's lungs, if you see more cluster munitions being used like today, and of course, I think if chemical weapons come into play, I don't take it out of the realm of possibility that NATO then would directly interdict, because what we're seeing today is horrifying enough. If you begin to use basically weapons of mass destruction against the Ukrainian people who are bravely, amazingly fighting to defend their country, that may change the calculus. Let me tell you, the Russian President Zelensky is the reason Ukraine is holding out. Him staying and him taking that position of I'm here to fight has rallied the Ukrainian people, not just in Ukraine, but around the world.
Yeah, I think, the offer to get him out of there, and his quote was something along the lines is, I don't need a ride, I need help. I'm going to stay here
Amen.
and fight, which is pretty amazing. Adam Kinzinger, really appreciate you joining me this morning and getting your perspective on this. The world sits and watches, and I'd love to have you back. As
of course, we're all Ukrainians today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. We'll be right back.